and praise the Spirit above. Oh, praise you. Oh, praise you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, good evening, good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. We're so glad to have all of you joining us. Thank you. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and also now we move into lots of other celebrations and holidays. So we're thrilled to have you all on. It's a great time to be thinking about the financial aid process and also to be thinking about, hey, how can I maybe afford my education in college? So we're glad that you're here to learn a little bit more about that. I did want to share with you a few things that set St. Andrews apart is we want to get to know you. We want to work with you, you and your family, and help you through the process so you feel like you have an advocate helping you through the steps of getting started here. And that's one thing that we feel sets us apart. You'll hear us talk about our family. And again, we want you to be part of that family as you transition from school, high school, or college into the university. So we've got a great event planned for you. We'll walk through some helpful information about the financial aid process. We will spend time talking about scholarships and how to search for them outside. And the other big thing that we want to do is at the end, let you hear from a current student and hear about how she searched out scholarships to help her be able to afford her education here at St. Andrews. So that's a little bit about what we'll do. Before we get started and I turn it over, I'll be curious, where's everybody from? I see some familiar names on here, which is nice. We're glad to see you. Some of you have been accepted, which is even better. Hopefully you got to speak with me, but where is everybody from down in the chat room? I'd love to see that.
I'm from Elizabethtown, North Carolina.
Nice. We're great. We're glad to see you on tonight. Marilyn, Adriana, who's one of our current students, look. We're glad you're here. So, well, without further ado, I'm going to stop stealing the show from Mrs. Dawn Van Arsdale Young, our Director of Financial Aid here at St. Andrews. I'm going to turn it over to her. Pittsburgh, is it snowing? You guys got a lot of snow. I think didn't it just stop snowing up there? Well, it's cold here. We have no snow, but all right. And Virginia, nice. Victoria, good to see you on. So, Miss Young, I'll turn it over to you. This is your show. You're the expert when it comes to that. And you heard me say family. She's part of my family here at St. Andrews, and she'll be part of yours as she helps you through that financial aid process. So I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Night Nation. Mr. Stanley, and I'm going to put, I hope I'm pronouncing the first name correctly. Is it Zaquise Leach? I can't see you now. You were on there.
Oh, I'm sorry, but yes, ma'am.
Are you there? Okay. So you're going to be an incoming football player for us, a student athlete, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you excited?
Yes, ma'am. Very.
Can you play?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I put you on the spot, didn't I? Adriana is one of our students, and she'll be talking with us tonight. I did the same thing to her before she started. So welcome to you. Welcome to all of our students on here. For financial aid, I know that is not I'll be the first one to tell you, I know it is not super exciting or super sexy for students and everything, but for me, selfishly, it is the most important thing, because being admitted is a huge part of the process and is so exciting to be a student at St. Andrews University. But then we have to think about affordability and how do we do that? And some of you have already gone through the FAFSA process, so we're going to try and make this very easy. Mr. Stanley, our Vice President of Enrollment, had mentioned this earlier. We are all about family here. My staff, which I'd like to introduce, I couldn't do what I do without them, is Sean Calder and Ashley Dittmar. Now, Miss Ashley, you'll probably be a little bit more familiar with. She actually is the one that will talk with the majority of our new students that come to St. Andrews University. But we really take pride in ourselves to getting to know the families. And so when you're here as a student, we see you walking down the hall, we can say, how are you doing? How's mom? How's grandma? How's your vacation? How was everything? Where we're real and it's all about family. With the financial aid piece, we want this to be smooth and seamless and successful. And there's never a question, and I'll say this over and over, probably a million times tonight, there's never a question that's silly. We want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. So when you show up in either January, you're showing up in the fall semester in August, you're not in long lines. That's the key, is to make sure everything is in place. So the first part that we have is, are you ready? And we hope that you are ready. So the very first thing is, what is the FAFSA? You know, we so often in financial aid hear that I had to pay $80 to complete my FAFSA. You're not at the right website, because the very first thing for FAFSA, it means free. There's nothing better than free. Do it. It's free. You don't get too many freebies out there. So it stands for free application for federal student aid. But what does that actually mean? How does that help financial aid administrators? How does that help families? Well, the FAFSA helps financial aid in terms of what types of grants you can receive, about scholarships, loans, possible work study opportunities. Where do I complete the FAFSA? You can complete it at fafsa.ed.gov. What's our school code? And we had a family talk to us the other day that really wanted to understand what this code means. Every school has their own code. What makes us stand out a little bit is that we are a branch campus of Weber International University. So sometimes when families go to put in the school code of 001540, they panic and they'll say, St. Andrews isn't showing. It is us. So please don't panic. But basically what that code means is that's an identifier to the Federal Processing Center on who receives your FAFSA. When? Well, it says that you can start completing it October 1st, and it's hard to believe that today is December 2nd. So go ahead, start completing that FAFSA. It is based on your 2000, and for your 21-22, it's based on your 2019 tax returns. If there are any questions along the way, please put them in the chat room. So what do we need to do in terms of the FAFSA? You know, how do you complete the FAFSA? How do I create what's called an FSA ID? So everybody has to have an FSA ID. At the end of completing the FAFSA online, please do not send us the signature page. We've had that happen, matter of fact, this week already. And you don't want to mail it in. You want everything to be nice, neat, with a big bow on it, and send everything electronically. And if you're stuck, if you're having problems and you're going, I have no idea exactly what I'm doing here, that's what we're here for. Remember, it's all about the connection, all about family. So what, per the Department of Education, is that the FSID basically allows students and parents, it identifies them through the FAFSA. So a student, so Mr. Leach, who I was talking with earlier, he has his own username and password. His parent would have their own username and password. You could probably use the exact same passwords, but my big suggestion that I tell families, as well as Miss Ashley will say, is make sure you write it down, put it on the refrigerator, write it in a book, put it in a drawer. But the number one thing that happens is that families forget. And then sometimes you're locked out. So we don't want that to actually happen. Where do I create this account? How do I do this? So you go to studentaid.gov and click on create an account. Once you actually have your SAID information for yourself as a student and your family, your parent has it, that's when you'll go to the FAFSA and start completing everything on the FAFSA. And as long as you have that school code on there, which I mentioned earlier, of 001540, we'll have your information. You want to make sure that you sign everything electronically. Programs. Why is this important to us? It really helps us in financial aid when we gather this information again, and I'm probably going to say Miss Ashley's name 1,000 times. That's actually what she's doing right now. So she's actually out at her office, and she's putting all this information into the system. So when I'm able to say to her, how many students do we have for our spring semester, our fall semester? She's actually putting in all that FAFSA data into a folder so I can review. So we review each folder individually. No student is the same. I don't think any of us are the same. I think life would be kind of boring if we were all cookie cutter the same. So why I say that is that Adriana's financial aid won't be the same as Mr. Leach's information, just like my information isn't the same as maybe Leanne Hankey's. You know, everybody's different. That's what makes us unique. So we actually, when I get that information from Miss Ashley, I'll be able to evaluate to give you the very best package possible. And we are not going to treat you, just so you know, like a used car salesman, not to be disrespectful to a used car salesman, but we're not going to bounce you around, meaning when we provide this information to you, and then another school gives you more money because they're competing with us, we're not going to treat you like back and forth. If we had it to offer, we should have had it in that package. So we really pride ourselves on honesty and making sure that families understand that what's in this package, and that's what we're here for. So through these programs, we will look at federal programs. That could be loans, that could be the federal Pell grant, state money. That would be the North Carolina Need-Based Scholarship. And there are also some other possible state opportunities. We are a private school, so it'd have to be designed to a private school. And any type of SAU money. And SAU money is such a big component, meaning you could be coming in as, like Adriana, a biology major and has an academic scholarship. You could come in as Mr. Leach and be a student athlete and have athletic money. You could come in as an equestrian and have academic and equestrian money. So it's really comprised of everything that we have that's at SAU. And how do we obtain that? We work very heavily in financial aid with our coaches, with our equestrian staff, and we also work hand in hand with our admissions office. So again, coming back to that word, a family. So when we put together that financial aid package, it should be accurate. But again, we are here with any questions that you have. From this information, how the awarding process really works, and Mr. Stanley mentioned this earlier, is that you receive a personal call from admissions. Probably 99.9% of the time from when you are accepted, you're going to actually hear from Vice President Stanley. I'll be very honest with you. This is my third private school I've worked at. I've never worked with a vice president that actually calls the students like he does. That's a personal touch. That to me adds value in what we are about here at St. Andrews University. The other personal touch that you'll have from admissions is that you really get to know your admissions counselor. Everybody has a territory and works with different areas. And also it could be equestrian, it could be athletics, it could be, you know, different majors or what have you. Our counselors do a wonderful job. Our in-house team and our regional team for admissions, they really get to know these students on a personal level. So that's pretty exciting to me. And then from there, once everything is given to us in financial aid, like I mentioned earlier, when Miss Ashley puts everything together and I have a financial aid package, who do you think that goes back to? Miss Ashley. And who do you think probably 99.9% of the time is going to call you? Miss Ashley. So you may receive a phone call from Ashley Ditmar. And why is that important? Again, a very personal touch. It increases that value. It hopefully makes you understand that we want you here as a student at St. Andrews University. She will go step by step on all financial aid. She will go step by step on what the cost is, what the estimated balance is. And of course, we're not the business office, so it's not the gospel, but we kind of give you an outline of what that balance is to help you. And then options on how to pay, which we'll go through here in a second. But what that does is it goes through the financial aid of next steps and what you need to do, and it builds that relationship. And we're excited about it because we really get to know the families, like I said, on that intimate level. The thing that actually happens as well is that before you show up in January for spring or in August for our fall semester, is you're not in all these long lines because we've had the outreach numerous times and we've built that value to make sure that everything is in line before showing up. So this is our cost for our current year that we are in. It's $39,980. That is the annual cost that we are currently in for the 2020-21 school year. Normal increases is anywhere between about 3 to 5%. And of course, our goal, of course, is to keep it low. And what we actually did this year, oh, let me go back on this cost. Books are included in here. And why is that important? I can tell you that, again, first private school here that I've worked at other private schools, books aren't included. And what I found is that because books are expensive, let's face it, and students would actually go to class without books. Well, what do you think happened? They didn't do well in the classroom. So we actually provide those books here. If you have a vehicle on campus, we'll be more than happy. We're able to give you a parking decal. So that $39,980 for this year's school cost, not next year's, we don't have any hidden cost. We're very open about that, where at some schools it might say, well, if you live in this dorm, you have this, but if you don't have a meal plan and if you have this and you don't have that, there it is right there. The way that this would increase, and we do have this on all of our information through financial aid, if you need health insurance, if you happen to be in a private room, which very, very few of our students here are in private rooms, if you take an overload, which means classes over 18 hours, again, we have very few students that do that. So for the most part, $39,980 for the year is what you'll be looking at. But one thing that my good friend had reminded me of today is that about that value. So students don't look at that and go, oh my gosh, is that what I pay? Remember, have to complete the FAFSA, okay? And then our role in financial aid is to give you as much money as possible to bring that down. So let's say, for example, you receive, I'll just say the federal Pell grant of $5,000. Well, $5,000 would come off of that cost. Oh, and you're a North Carolina student. Let's say you get $6,000. Well, that just came off that cost. You're what? You're an equestrian, you're an athlete, you're a great student. Well, guess what? That money comes off of that cost. So I don't want it to be where you're looking at this and going, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? That's what we are here for. Our goal is to bring that balance down as low as possible. This school year that we are currently in, well, it's almost over for this fall semester, which is hard to believe. Our students are getting ready to go into exams. St. Andrews University awarded over $10 million in scholarships this school year. And then just to kind of reiterate that whole investment, the one-on-one attention for financial aid and the one-on-one attention of admissions process, I really firmly believe that that's what makes us stand out, that is so different. I mentioned this earlier that that Ashley would actually talk with during these phone calls is payment options. So again, our goal is to take the cost of school, award you as much financial aid as possible to bring that cost down. But there's a balance. My balance may be different than Lindsay's balance, and Lindsay's balance would be different than Mr. Stanley's balance and Adriana's and so forth. So the question comes, what is best for you as a family? And here's the beauty of it. There's no wrong. You know, you could use all three options. You could use one option. You could use two options, you know. So the first one is what's called a PLUS loan. Simply put, it stands for a parent loan for undergraduate students. So for example, I keep picking on Adriana, and everybody will get to see her earlier, or a little bit later, but let's just say hypothetically there was a balance, and I'll just say a parent applied for a parent loan. Well, if it's approved, then that means Adriana's parent could actually borrow to cover the balance for the year. On the flip side, maybe Adriana's parent was not approved. What do you think would happen then if it wasn't approved? That means Adriana could receive a little bit more loan money in her name. So with the PLUS loan, you have to go through a credit check, the parent does, and the results are communicated instantly to the parent. It will communicate to us in financial aid within about 24 to 48 hours. Option two, a private loan. Private loans are huge, it seems like this year, at least for our area. And the number one lender that we have, of which we don't promote any lender, we leave that to our families, is Sallie Mae. But we do on our website actually have a link to what's called Fast Choice. And it takes all the different lenders and puts them side by side, interest rate, borrower benefits, and it kind of goes step by step to really compare. So we love that comparison tool when families are asking us. But with the private loan, the flexibility of this is that when the student is applying, the student will need a credit-worthy cosigner. It doesn't have to be a parent. It can be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a godparent, a family friend, somebody to cosign. And then that information comes to us electronically if it's approved, and we process it. The last option is our monthly payment plan, and we work very closely, our business office does, with Nelnet. Nelnet is a pretty big company, but one of their benefits that they have is actually the monthly payment plan. And so our school offers an 11-month all the way down to an 8-month, and that's for the year. And then there's also just by semesters, a 5, 4, and 3-month plan. Everything there is handled with our business office and with Nelnet. Now, the next thing is our scholarships, outside scholarships. And what I'm going to introduce someone that has a wealth of knowledge and experience. She has a great personality and so energetic. And then after Miss Denise talks, then I will introduce our student Adriana. So you're hearing it from a regional admissions representative. She has great information, things I didn't even think about that I've written down. And I talk with students, we all do in financial aid. And then you're going to actually hear it from a student's perspective. So let me introduce Denise Bradbery, Regional Admissions Representative. Thank you for taking time with us tonight. So I'm going to let you take over.
Thanks. It's always my pleasure. Listen, scholarships are just something that are near and dear to my heart. I have to just share a little personal story, but I put 2 kids through college on these scholarships, these private scholarships, as a single mom. So I know that this stuff works. I absolutely have experienced it myself. So I just want to go through real quick and talk to you about doing a scholarship search, how you accomplish that, just a couple of tips and some of the great places that you can go to do it. So my very first tip and one of the most important is set up an independent email account, Google, Gmail, whatever you want to do. but set up an independent just for scholarship email account, because one of the big problems with scholarships out there these days is that students are not applying, and that hurts the givers. So they want to give away that money, and there's a reason for it, usually tax dollars. But if they aren't able to give it away because there are no applications, they may not come back next year and offer that. So you need to set up an email account so that when they're sharing that information and you're getting notification of all these new scholarships that you might qualify for, they won't be in there bogging down your regular email account. Also, most of your notifications come that you have been awarded the scholarship come through the email. So you don't want them to get in there where you're hitting that delete button. I know I just took a week's vacation and coming back, man, it's delete, 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 delete to get through that big pile of them. So you want to be careful that you don't have them in there so you're not throwing your money into that little teeny trash can there on your computer screen. So then I want you to start looking at scholarships everywhere. There's a question that seniors, and you may want to respond if you've ever been asked this question, tell me in the chat room there, but have you ever been asked what you're going to do after high school? Because as seniors, I know it's already starting to come down pretty hard. That is such a great opportunity that many of us miss. So when someone asks you what you're going to do after high school, you need to respond. I'm going to go to St. Andrews University and study equine therapy or equine science or whatever it is you want to do. And do you know of any any scholarships that might help me achieve that goal? Many people attend or get involved in the community. They're involved in Kiwanis. They're involved in many other organizations, not-for-profit type organizations. Sometimes they're related to the career field you're going to pursue. So nursing, they may have scholarships and things like that, but they may know about this stuff. So if you're not asking everyone that you know, they may be working somewhere that offers scholarships, especially within your family. You want to get to know who you are so that you'll know what scholarships you qualify for. You want to know what your heritage is, what your family's heritage is. So are you Irish? Those kind of things. You want to know what your parents do for a living and where they work, because a lot of employer benefits offer opportunities for support in students getting their education. So check that out. Over on the left-hand side of the screen there, you're going to see a list of opportunities. My favorite one is right there on the top, fastweb.com. I have to tell you, I'm still signed up on fastweb.com, and I get notifications almost daily, not always every day, but I've had notifications that I qualify for a $1,000 scholarship all the way up to $35,000 worth of scholarships that I could apply for in one single day. So what you're going to do when you get on these websites a lot of times is fill out a big inquiry form that's going to tell you everything. You're going to tell them everything about yourself. And then FastWeb specifically goes out and searches the internet every day for those scholarship opportunities that you qualify for. So everyone you're seeing, you're qualifying for. They also look for a lot of the lottery scholarships. You know, the famous one out there is the no essay required. So they're looking for scholarships that are just lotteries. So as long as you fill out the application, you're going to go into the virtual fishbowl and hopefully have your name drawn out. If not, that's okay. It didn't take you but a few minutes online to take care of that application. So you can continue to go. For those students who are in North Carolina, the College Foundation of North Carolina, cfnc.org, is a great resource. What happens with these are just for state residents of North Carolina, so less applicants in there. More likely for you to pick up one of those scholarships because on the national level, you have a lot more people applying for those. So the other one that I really think is a great opportunity for you, but you have to keep going back in and searching. It doesn't continually search for you, is Collegeboard.org. So if you've taken the SAT or you've registered for the PSAT, even if you're a junior, you already have an account with Collegeboard.org. So all you need to do is go to the website and go to the search on the website and just search scholarships. I think it's probably about the third one down, but it says college scholarship search. And you'll want to go in there. And that is one of the largest databases out there for scholarships. So there are just so many in there. I think there's over 3,000 databases, and each one of them has about 25,000 scholarships in it. You do the math. And but it's quite substantial. And then last, again, looking at all of the companies that you deal with every day. Dawn always says, I shop very differently now because you're looking at the things and would they offer scholarships? So big companies like Target and Walmart, all of the fast food companies out there have scholarship programs. I actually saw a sign on a I think it was a Wendy's drive-through window the other day. So you want to check with everyone you know and the employers. You also want to look at these big companies. What are you buying in the grocery store? Frito-Lay does a lot of scholarships. So if you're munching those chips, you should be online checking out what kind of help they can give you to achieve your educational goals. So this is just a little bit about searching for the scholarship. I'm going to put my email address into the chat room. And I encourage all of you to reach out if you have questions, if you're not sure about how to handle something. And then my biggest tip for the night is simply this: apply. If you don't apply for the scholarships, you cannot win them. So if you're not in the game, you can't win. So go out there and apply, apply, apply. And if you're even not really sure if that scholarship applies to you, that's okay. Fill it out anyway. There are no negative consequences. You'll just maybe be slipped to one side of the desk or the other, but there's always the option that maybe you're the only person that applied. And if that's the case, more than likely, you are going to be awarded the scholarship. So never be afraid to apply for any of them. Apply and apply and apply. And that's just the big deal. If you do the work, you'll reap the rewards. I've seen it happen. I've experienced it myself. So and then we're going to have a student talk to you and tell you how she applied and reaped the benefit of that. So nothing in life is truly free. This is going to take you a little time and effort, but that's all it's going to cost you, is some time and effort. So I wish you the best of luck on your search. I, again, will offer up anything I can do to help, and best of luck to you all.
Thank you so much, Miss Denise. We appreciate it. So she is going to put her information in the chat room. I strongly encourage that if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I've talked to, I think, Miss Denise several times. I know twice in the past 2 days, and she just has information that we even use her information daily in financial aid that we're using. So I encourage you. Thank you for taking the time tonight. I'd like to also, right now, you've heard it from one of our regional admissions representatives, but now I'd like you to hear it from a student. Adriana is from Maryland. She is a biology major, but I'm going to let her talk a little bit about herself. And I will tell you this, Adriana has so many outside scholarships that we actually had to create additional codes in financial aid for Miss Adriana. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So I'm going to let her talk to all of you. Adriana?
Hi, I hope everyone can hear me all right. My name's Adriana. Dawn kind of already introduced me a little bit, but I'm a biology major and I'm a freshman. I was pretty much in your guys' shoes just this time last year, so it's near and dear to my heart because I remember kind of how stressful and exciting, you just feel all the emotions applying to school, and you're applying and getting accepted, and then it's like, well, you're accepted, but there's still scholarships and financial aid, and it's like, it's a lot. But now that I kind of work with the ladies who help the process get along, I understand it a lot better. So it makes me excited to talk about it because I was you guys and I was just as confused. So I was definitely in your shoes applying to scholarships. It feels like a super relentless task that is always daunting, and you finish one and there's always another. And there's some scholarship organizations that, you'll send your application in and you might not even get a confirmation email. So you kind of just have to trust the process, I guess would be my advice. Kind of like Miss Denise was saying, I'm an equestrian and also I'm studying biology, so I got some aid from the school. But the biggest thing that brought my personal costs down was private scholarships. And they're out there and people want to help you and they want to see you achieve and do well. I think that's kind of any large corporation or organization or community organization's goal is just to help you get where you want to go. And if you're motivated and determined to get a good education and pursue what you care about, then there's going to be people who want to help you in the process. And a lot of those people are right here in the office with me. Some of the scholarships that I applied to, 4-H, FFA, Women's Club, Rotary, the Lions Club. Some of you smart cookies are out there, and National Honor Society. I know you are. I got a scholarship from them. But just kind of like Miss Denise was saying, apply. That's the biggest thing, is apply. You won't know until you get it. There was one that I applied to, was my electric company, and I had to write about how I thought electric companies supported the community, and I just strung it together. I'm Italian. I never really thought of myself an Italian, but I am. And I applied to Italian scholarship. Like, there's so many out there. It's just, you're more unique and diverse than you think you are. You have more talents and more things about you that you don't think of or you just take for granted. So definitely just get on and apply. This is a big thing. My kind of, I guess, perspective with school is I don't want to pay for today 10 years from now. When I'm done school, I want to be done financially too. How can I save over the summertime, or how can I apply to scholarships now, or like just different methods of financial, because essentially, college is an investment. It's a big investment into your future. And so I could feel like coming in, you're kind of thinking like, okay, I'm going to invest in my education so I can get a better career and a better job, but how do I pay for that investment now? So that's kind of my advice. Miss Dawn, I don't know if you have anything to add or any questions.
No, I think you've done great. I appreciate your time tonight, Adriana. So Adriana also works as a work study student in our admissions office. Super bubbly, energetic. I'm sure everybody can tell that she is already like that. But I'm hoping the one thing, what I remember about you, Adriana, just to share, is that Mr. Corsi was your admissions counselor, and we had some questions. And what did we do? We did a Zoom call. And just to kind of share that, and I remember it because I loved your mom's balance in there, and I love the porch, a screened-in porch. Now that everybody knows you have screened-in porch, but it was just, I hope you do, that it was very intimate. And then, your family had questions, and that's what we hope stood out on one of the reasons that you chose St. Andrews University, because I'm sure if it was a large university, or even one that maybe is a tad bigger than us, we stood out for that personal touch, and it's all about family. So I hope you remember that. I do.
Yeah, I definitely do. Now, that is one thing that I'm the oldest child, so I'm somewhat of the test dummy for college and the financial aid process for sure. So that sitting down with that Zoom call really gave me and my parents a lot of clarity on how kind of the process goes. It's not a quick submit of an application or even getting accepted to college. It's definitely a process. And so something to kind of keep in mind, that when you decide to attend a small school, you kind of have like a pit crew, like a whole team of people who want to see you do well, and they want the cost to be as low as possible, and they want you to be admitted, which I think was super important. Now that you guys know that I have a screened-in porch and really cute curtains, you can also know that I worked on a dude ranch this summer in Wyoming. And so Lindsay was my admissions counselor. The only bad part about Wyoming is the cell service is like a complete zero. I was 30 minutes from Yellowstone, and there were more bears than there were Wi-Fi bars. So I was always like disconnected from everything. So I was trying to fill out like FERPA like forms and health forms and different housing records. And Lindsay gave me your personal phone number and was like, call me, text me, anything you need, because I was so off the grid. And that's just kind of, I guess, the takeaway from that is it is a family, and it's people who want you to do well and succeed. And how can we get you to where you want to go? If you're motivated about what you want to do, how you want to learn it, how can we help you? So
awesome. Thank you so much. So the last screen we'd like to share is a little bit about us in financial aid. This is our number. It actually comes into Miss Ashley's number, Miss Dittmar, but the flexibility of this is she doesn't have to be at her desk all the time, because guess what? She has a backup. And then that backup has a backup to a backup. So eventually it will route to me. And then if by chance the other two, myself and are included or with a family on the phone away from the office, it will route right back to Miss Ashley for a message. But the positive thing is there's 3 of us in the office. So my big takeaway on this is if you receive voicemail, and sometimes that happens, you have to leave a message. You have to leave a message. Our policy in financial aid is to return a call within 24 hours. Okay. The email to financial aid, there it is, finaid@sa.edu. Again, questions, comments, anything that you have, FAFSA related, about your financial aid. And then these are the office hours that we are actually here. And we change it up. Some in the summer they change and sometimes throughout the year. But these are the office hours that we currently have. So we are here to help you. Questions that you have, please, I would love to hear some things in the chat room with any questions that any of you actually have. I'd love to see some of the faces. I feel like, am I the only one that's on here tonight? My goodness. But any questions that you actually have would be wonderful. Any questions? We'll stay on here for just a little bit. We love that y'all joined us tonight. We're so thrilled that you were part of Night Nation. Questions that you have, please don't hesitate. Let's put them in the chat room. I'm sure that somebody has a question. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and sign out then for tonight. We have a quiet group. Thank you, Miss Denise, for signing in. So I wasn't the only one on here. Thank you. Y'all have a great evening. And any questions, you just let us know. Everybody have a great night. Hey, Adriana. Okay. Bye, everyone.